So welcome to the Labor Forum today. We have two guests in the studio. We're really excited about this interview because we've been talking about low-wage workers here on WRFG's Labor Forum for many, many months, ever since really the campaign got launched by fast food workers 2 years ago, and it has actually just shaken the whole country. It has been such an exciting thing, and now we have, besides fast food workers, home health care workers, daycare workers, Walmart workers, retail workers, we now have included in this fight for at least a basic minimum wage at $15 an hour, adjunct professors. And we're happy that we have Sally in the studio with us, who's going to talk about what the conditions of this whole group of literally tens of thousands.
75% actually of the faculty that are teaching our college students are adjunct faculty.
So let me just introduce everybody. We have Paul McLennan, of course, in the studio, host of the Labor Forum and an ATU member. And our two guests are, as I mentioned, Sally, who is an adjunct professor, and Keisha Webb, who is here, and she is with a group called Faculty Forward, which is really sort of the organizing name across the country for adjunct professors. So now this is going to be a field of work that a lot of people who are listening and watching this program may not really be very familiar with. Most of us, I have to say, who when we think of college professors, think of people, you know, they've got degrees up the wazoo, and they are very learned, and of course they must be making lots of money, because this society says, get an education and you'll have a good job.
Right.
So tell us the real truth.
The real truth is, even as a full-time faculty member, and I have been full-time most of my career, I have to say, thank God, I have been a full-time faculty member, but even as a full-time faculty member, you don't make very much money, especially in the state of Georgia. Georgia is one of the lowest paid states, and the adjuncts are extremely low paid. For example, I'm working an adjunct position right now where I am paid only approximately $1,400 for a 15-week course. So that means I'm getting paid less than $100 to teach a college course per week. That is definitely not a wage that you can live on. I'm here to tell you. I can't even begin to pay my student loans with that. I have a PhD and 20 years of experience teaching writing, and lots of people might say, wow, you went in, you're an English major, you shouldn't have expected to get paid. Well, I didn't expect to get paid a lot. I didn't expect to become rich. I only expected that I would be able to provide for my family. I did all the right things. I stayed out of trouble. I went to school. I got my PhD. I taught a very practical class, which is teaching. I taught kids to write. I teach college students to write. So we wonder, where is all this money going, right? Well, the truth of the matter is, it's going to administrative bloat. They are not paying our faculty, they're paying administrators. When I started out 20 years ago, above me I had a faculty chair who was usually not paid extra, just had what we call a course release. They got one less course to teach. And then I had above that a dean, then a vice president, and then the president. Those were the only people who were between me and the president of the university. Now I have a faculty chair who is paid, a professional faculty chair. I have a division chair. I have an assistant dean. I have a dean. I have a vice president, and then I have a president. So we have like 4 or 5 more layers of administration. So if they want to provide so much administration, they of course have to cut what? Faculty, of course.
And raise tuition.
And they raise tuition, right. So our students are not, you're paying $40,000 for your kids to go to school, right? But of that $40,000, very, very little of it goes to faculty. And so how does that impact our students? I have no time to spend with my students. And even if I did have time to spend with my students, because I am what's called an adjunct faculty, I only work part-time, I don't have an office. I don't have a telephone. I don't have access to a fax machine. I don't have access to a printer. I don't have access to technology. I don't have access to anything once I'm outside the classroom. So anything that I'm going to provide my students outside the classroom is going to come out of my own pocket. If they call me on my cell phone, which they do, I pay my own cell phone bills. That money is not compensated to me. So what we're asking for with Faculty Forward is that they start to compensate us for what we're worth. And we're worth a whole heck of a lot more than $1,400 for a 15-week course. If you're charging 25 students about $500 maybe to take that class, then they're making, wow, a lot of money on just one class, and then they're paying me $1,400.
I want to, this is, well, let me first ask. People will say, what's this word adjunct? I never heard this word. Where did it come from? Why are you called an adjunct?
Adjunct is like an appendix. It means you're extra. You're not necessarily required to be there. Yeah.
But you said at the very beginning of this interview that a huge percentage of the courses
Between 73 and 78%, depending on which study you look at.
And these are state schools.
Yeah, this is all schools. This is all private, public, for-profit, all of them. Actually, for-profits are more likely to have adjuncts and to treat them worse than public institutions. And if you have a community college, that's more dependent on adjuncts than a four-year school or a research institution. As you go to more prestigious colleges, they have fewer and fewer adjuncts, or they report fewer and fewer adjuncts. Now, if you have a lot of the problem with studying how many adjuncts there are is that the colleges don't report them. They don't report them as faculty, and that's something that we need them to be honest about. And so there's three actual points to Faculty Forward. The first is that we want to have $15,000 per course, and that includes pay and benefits, okay? So it's not just pay, it's also benefits. So if I'm traveling back and forth between 3 different institutions, shouldn't I be compensated for my gas? It's just small things like that. Okay, the second thing is we want to increase the quality of education, and by bringing adjuncts up and making sure that they have the tools to do the work that they are doing and to educate our students as they should be educated, then we are automatically bringing up education. We're bringing those standards up. And the third is to hold responsible those people who are not acting in an appropriate way. And most of them are for-profit institutions that are paying very low wages, making a lot of money, and then throwing our kids out on the street with no degrees and a lot of student loan debt. So those are some of the, and also controlling the cost of education, which is fighting that administrative bloat. We do not need to be administrated, okay? Yeah, we need some administrators, it's true, and there's some really good ones and there's some really bad ones, but we do need them. We just don't need so many.
Well, the other thing that strikes me is I've read some studies about the multi-$100,000 salaries presidents of universities, including public universities, get, and then that's not even talking about the $1 million salaries that sports directors
actually
and coaches get.
Some presidents get $1 million. You can look actually directly on the USG has, the University System of Georgia has all of their faculty wages. It's the state of Georgia actually. All of the faculty, staff, everybody's wages for how much they pay everyone. Right up there on the internet. And if people take a look at it, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked at how much administrators are getting paid, and you'll be shocked at how little the faculty is getting paid.
I want to bring Keisha into this conversation. So Faculty Forward is a national movement. Mm-hmm. Now what's the difference between graduate students who are also organizing and adjuncts? Is there a blurred line there, or is this something separate?
It's something separate. So I mean, they do kind of blur a little bit because universities typically use both adjuncts and graduate students to keep their costs low. So an adjunct professor is essentially a part-time professor that's paid per course. A graduate student is someone who is pursuing their PhD and who might
Or
get
their
a,
master's.
or their master's, who might get a stipend for teaching a course. And so,
Okay, so I know, for example, I'm a retired UAW, and I know that there have been some graduate students who have affiliated with United Auto Workers, a very interesting concept, and have gotten contracts and certainly moved towards better conditions for the graduate students. Now, if there was to be is the idea to be in a union or an association for adjunct professors?
Are you asking me?
I am asking you, Sally.
Okay. We really need some type of parity. We have to have someone asking for justice. And if we can't get justice from the government, and we can't get justice from our own legislatures, and we can't get justice from our own Board of Regents, we have to turn to a union to get justice. And that's the American way. We have to find a way to make people realize that paying administrators hundreds of thousands of dollars and paying faculty nothing and putting your students' education at the hand of people who have no allegiance to the college I teach at. Nobody talks to me. I'm not trained. I don't know what anybody else is doing. I don't have any governance. I don't even have an office. Do you think I'm giving the best kind of education to your child? I try, but I can't. I can't because I am not empowered to do that.
So Sally, can you tell us, and our listeners here at WRFG and those who are watching on the YouTube channel, what the connection is? We just discovered, to maybe many people's surprise, that so many of the people who are in the classroom at colleges and universities across the country and here in the state of Georgia are literally living under poverty, with making wages no higher, no better than many of the other low-wage workers we've had on this program, whether it's fast food workers, Walmart workers, home health care, daycare, etc. Okay, so there still could possibly be some sentiment among adjunct professors that I'm not with these other folks. I got an education. Can you talk to those who have maybe are harboring those opinions, why adjunct professors, teachers, people who have gotten degrees and are in an academic setting should be hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder with fast food workers and all the other low-wage workers?
Well, look, I don't think any of us could ever think that we're above other classes, quote unquote, of people who have not gotten the higher education. I think that we're in the trenches. We're teaching our students every single day, and we love those students. I mean, I went into teaching because I love my students, and I think that we see a lot of what they have to go through as the same as what we have to go through. It's just that we've already gone through it. I mean, we already, and most of us, you know, we've been there, done that. We know what it's like to be a low-wage worker, okay? Because we were low-wage workers when we were trying to get through school, and then we were low-wage workers when we were graduate students, and now, again, we're low-wage workers. Even though we have our degrees, and even though we are trying to work, and we have families. And so we can lift them up, and they can lift us up. And I think that that's important, that we're working together, because if we don't stand together, as they say, if we don't hang together, we hang separately. And we have to make sure that we're getting some type of justice.
So everybody knows, I think, in the whole wide world, that on April 15th, there's going to be a mobilization of literally tens and tens of thousands of low-wage workers in this country, and perhaps around the world, I don't know that. But this is a movement whose time has clearly come. So could you tell our listeners what's going to happen on April 15th here in Atlanta?
Well, what's going to happen on April 15th? We're having a rally in the Morris Brown parking lot at 5 p.m. We are going to be standing together and asking for justice and asking for wages, what we're worth. And we are going to be asking everyone to come out and to show strength, because if we don't show strength, we can't speak truth to power.
So the details again, do you have the exact address of this parking lot at Morris Brown?
We don't have the exact address. It's it's going to be in the quad at Morris Brown. If you go to our Facebook page, we'll have the information up there. It's Faculty Forward Georgia. We'll also have information at the SEIU facultyforward.org website.
Is Georgia spelled out or is it GA?
It's spelled out Georgia.
Okay, so Faculty Forward Georgia.
I'm sorry, Faculty Forward GA for the Facebook page.
All right, one more time just to make sure we're clear.
Faculty Forward GA on the Facebook page, but the website is SEIU facultyforward.org. Not com, not net, org.
Okay, thanks so much. We want to really thank you for coming in, Sally, Keisha. And we'll look forward to having you back on, because this is a topic that the Labor Forum wants to talk about all the time, about the inequality of workers. You know, Paul worked for MARTA, I worked for General Motors. We both know that it's only workers who produce everything, distribute everything, make everything run, educate, nurse, take care of, and it is just not right that the system is so lopsided that the few reap the benefits of our labor when we're the ones who should be deciding this. So I want to thank you so much. And I want to say power on to the to the Faculty Forward movement, and we'll see you again here at the Labor Forum. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.